Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another awesome Beasts of the Mesozoic Ceratopsian series figure to take a look at. We've been running through Wave 2 here within like the past week and a half on the channel, and I've been loving each and every one of these Ceratopsian figures. So many awesome species are included in this line, and today we have yet another new species entering the line, which is the Wendiceratops. And it looks beautiful. Another really cool but really flashy looking paint scheme on this one. It's definitely a very interesting take on a ceratopsian, and I think it's probably going to be another one of those instances where they prove to me that flashier paint schemes can work on ceratopsians, because coming into these reviews of the ceratopsian series, I was always kind of a fan of darker paint schemes with a little bit of flashiness to them. But the Beasts of the Mesozoic line have completely changed my opinion on ceratopsians and the type of paint schemes that can look nice and natural on them, because there's been some really flashy paint schemes on the figures as we've run through Wave 1 and now Wave 2, and every single time they look absolutely perfect in person. So I'm pretty much confident that that's going to be the same ordeal right here. But again, as far as the box art goes, you can see a little footprint down there, as well as the window to the Wendiceratops figure inside, and then of course an awesome sneak peek image of what we would find on the card. Here's some beautiful artwork of the ceratopsian here on the right hand side, with the Beast of the Mesozoic logo up at the top, and of course the Wendiceratops name at the bottom. And then as far as the back of the box goes, it's pretty much the same standard box that you get with all of your ceratopsian figures, showing the really cool artwork of the ceratopsians themselves, as well as again that cool checklist that shows you each of the figures in this wave, which is now again Wave 2, all 1/18th scale figures. And there's also this slip cover, and behind the slip cover there are more ceratopsians. So it's probably a pretty fun idea to check those off as you get them. I personally will not do that because I don't want to alter the boxes any more so than I already am by opening them, but definitely something that, other people could take advantage of. And then again, as far as the slip case here goes, on the side, on the left-hand side, we have another sneak peek of the collectible card that is inside, as well as some information down there at the bottom about the Wendiceratops. So let's go ahead, break this out of the box, and take a look at it. And once our box is opened up, we do have the tail assembly instructions like we always get. And then we have the beautiful Wendiceratops card included, and the artwork is just fantastic. As it always is, you can see a beautiful image of the Wendiceratops walking through a forested area, and it just looks incredible. And then on the back, a little dinosaur toy photography up here at the top, as well as the Beasts of the Mesozoic logo, the Wendiceratops species name, as well as some information on the dinosaur itself, and the Creative Beast logo down here at the bottom. Another awesome card added in here with all of the other awesome cards that we have received so far. And then here is our absolutely beautiful Wendiceratops, and I'm not going to lie to you guys, it's like a continuing trend where the moment I get these figures out of the box and take a look at them for the first time in person, they are continuously so much better than I ever expect them to be. I don't know why that always happens. At this point, with how many reviews I've done of these Beasts of the Mesozoic Ceratopsian series figures, I should have some pretty high expectations, but yet they still somehow end up looking better every single time than I expect them to, which is, in my opinion, a pretty big compliment to David Silva and all of the work that he has put forth on these figures. But this one is just another absolutely gorgeous looking ceratopsian. Again, a super flashy looking, brighter paint scheme for the figure, and on the figure itself here in person, it honestly does look really nice and natural again, which is just so shocking to me just how good of a job they can do at actually applying the paint. The sculpt looks phenomenal, and I do believe this is actually the very first Wendiceratops that I've had the opportunity to enter into my collection, if I can recall correctly. So that is really exciting in its own right, but especially having it look as beautiful as this one does. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead, get a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Wendiceratops, look at how incredibly beautiful the detailing aspect is. Like, the scale detail is super vibrant and just really pops all over the head sculpt of this ceratopsian. Like, especially when you get up here into the frill, look at how gorgeous all of that scale detail looks. It just is honestly phenomenal as far as the way it really jumps out at you. Very nice, very vibrant detailing continuously on the Beasts of the Mesozoic Ceratopsian series figures, but this one is just exceptionally beautiful looking from a detailing standpoint. And then if we take a look at the actual paint application that is included as well, there are so many different tones of color included up here on the face of this figure, and that is again something that we see quite often with the Ceratopsian series figures, but it's always so impressive just how much paintwork is included on your figure. Like, you really get a lot of bang for your buck on the Ceratopsian figures. You could see some really nice tones of yellow, kind of dry brushed over most of those yellows with like a light brown, it seems. You have like a really light yellow down here, darker shades of yellow up here. Again, some variations of browns showing up here and there. And again, some nice dry brushing of those browns as well. And you have this nice kind of a whitish coloration that runs along right in front of the beak area, all the way down here onto the lower jaw. The beak itself is painted really nicely with a dark brown, and it seems to have a nice dry brushing over top. Very nice light dry brushing to make sure that that detail pops out really beautifully and shows you all of the incredible sculpt work that was put into the beak of the dinosaur. And that's one thing that I really, again, continuously can commend the Beast of the Mesozoic Ceratopsian series figures, is that they do a great job of painting the figures in a way that makes the detail pop. Like, they use the paintwork in perfect fashion when it comes to the way it's sculpted. Like, the two just go together so well. They use every aspect of the sculpt to make sure that that paint looks fantastic, and every aspect of the paint to make sure that the sculpt looks fantastic. And you can see that dark brown runs up along here. You can also see lots of incredible detailing right there as well. And then you can see that that dark brown is also the coloration of the horns of the Wendiceratops, except you can see more of that dry brushing as you lead out to the tips with kind of a very light grayish coloration, it seems. Same color that you see here on the beak. You see that here out on the tips of the horns as well. You also have more of that white coloration there around the eye. A beautiful blue eye with a black pupil. I really like the coloration of the eye. Plays off of the color of the head really beautifully and really stands out with that white kind of bordering around it. Very nice and precisely painted, and also is given a beautiful gloss coat. And you can also see more of that kind of greenish coloration right there, as well as some very dark reds. And I like that there's like a little bit of a lighter shade of red. You could see it quite nicely right here. And then they've dry brushed this darker shade over top so that you could see some variation of colors. It's actually more like a maroon as opposed to a red that they've dry brushed over here, but then like a lighter variation of a maroon behind it. It looks really, really cool the way they've done that, and you can also see it pop up here. And if we come up into the frill, you can see it runs along the frill also, and then here in the center of the frill, along with some gorgeous detailing, we have that white coloration, and again more of that green showing up, and then that maroonish color runs down here in the middle area, the mid area of the frill. You can also see that these horns up here on the top are also painted quite nicely with the same dark brown that we see all over the other horns. And they've also been hit with the nice dry brushing as well. As we get back here into the neck region, you can see that same color that we saw up there start out. It actually engulfs the entire rear of the frill, and it starts out up here on the neck, and then you transition to a yellow, and then you have like a white down here, and within the white, it seems like there's like a dark gray wash kind of, or like maybe not that dark, but a grayish wash nonetheless that makes that detail pop quite beautifully. You can see some nice structure to the neck, kind of like some skin wrinkles and stuff in certain areas as well. And then you can also see that wash is also included within the yellow areas in certain spots to make that detailing pop also. It also looks like there's like some variations of almost like shades of orange included within the yellow to give it lots of really nice skin tone, lots of nice color variation throughout the figure. And then you can see this kind of the maroonish type color stripes down and just squiggles and designs all over the place. It even spots in certain areas as well. And then up here on the top, you can see that we have that white coloration again up here, as well as the orange kind of creeping through some of the white areas in between the scales. It looks really, really flashy, but again, nice and naturally applied. Some beautiful skin wrinkles and stuff down here, again kind of showing some of the movement of our ceratopsian. And as you lead down into that front leg, you can get a good idea of the muscle tone displayed within that leg. You have more variations of yellows and whites and stuff, even that maroon color back here. And then it transitions to a brown for the feet. And then you have very nicely painted nails with a gray, which it's like a very dark gray. They also have a very nice gloss coat. The detailing aspect of the feet is phenomenal. Like you can even see the toes and everything. Like specifically as we run up into the feet, the toes stick out really nicely. Again, the detailing aspects of these figures, it's just incredible. You can see more skin wrinkles and stuff back here as you lead back into the thigh area. And the scaling aspect of the dinosaur is just, again, incredible. You can also see some osteoderms poking up here and there throughout the entire figure in pretty much every area. They're just very subtly placed. There's no specific like trend to the way they run the course of the body, but they are present. You can see some ridges that do run along the spinal column, however, of the dinosaur. Again, as we lead down here into the thigh looks extremely nice and extremely muscular, a very large thigh. The calf muscle as well is exceptionally muscular. Like you can really see a very big bulging calf muscle right there. And considering the Wendiceratops would be a very large and heavy animal, that makes complete sense that it would be very large and also quite nicely displayed, holding up the entire weight of this dinosaur. And then you can also see again the foot sculpt looks great back here on the rear foot. Beautifully sculpted, very nicely painted nails, again with some combinations of oranges and yellows included. Just beautiful work in every area of this figure. And then you lead back up here into the tail. Again, we have more of those osteoderms, some more beautiful scaling throughout the entire figure. Really nice texturing to the skin. You have an area where it transitions from that white to the yellow. And you can also see kind of like some orange and yellow tones included there behind the white right there. In this area, you can kind of see it showing up, closing in on the maroon colors. And then you can see it transitions to a really yellow area, like the majority of it is yellow, and then transitions back to this kind of darker maroon color. And then on the underside you also have some variations of whites and yellows down here. And then as we move along the underside of the figure, you do have a cloaca present as always, but you could see that the actual texturing and everything here on the underside, as well as just generally the detailing aspect, is phenomenal. Even the undersides of the feet are quite beautifully detailed, very nice chest muscles and everything. The throat is nicely defined. And all of the texturing of the figure just looks great in every area. Of course, once we turn it around, the opposing side just looks incredible, just like the initial side did, but being that it is an articulated dinosaur, you're not really going to see too much difference on this side compared to what we had just seen on the initial side. But what that means is that this side looks phenomenal, just like the initial side did. And as we look here, kind of give you a rundown of what this side looks like, you can see that it just looks beautiful from every vantage point. Yet again, another really flashy looking paint scheme for one of these ceratopsians, but yet another really nice natural application of that paint, making sure that it looks, again, about as realistic as it gets as far as the way it's been applied. It generally now looks like the coloration of this animal, and is yet another instance where the beasts of the Mesozoic line has proven to me that ceratopsians can have bright flashy colors and still look really natural. And then as far as articulation goes, we do have the articulation of the jaw, which we actually did not even mention when we had it up close. And if you take a look inside the mouth there, you can see a really nice realistic color chosen for the inside of the mouth. A very nice tone of pink. You can also see that the teeth, it's a little hard for you to probably see, but the teeth are present in there, nicely sculpted and painted, and the tongue is actually sticking up in there, which I think gives it almost like a look like it's yelling now that the mouth is open. Some of these tongues of these ceratopsians have seemed to articulate, and that one may, but I don't think that I could get my finger in there to actually push it down. But regardless, we do have the articulation of the jaw. Again, works really nice, very smoothly as far as that goes. And then once we reach the neck, you have two areas of articulation, one at the base of the head there, and then one where the neck connects to the body, which allows for some really beautiful posability with your ceratopsian, giving you, again, lots and lots of articulation options for your Wendiceratops. And then once you get back here, you do have articulation in this area, as well as articulation in the elbow, which moves forward and back quite nicely. And then articulation in the wrist, which as well can move forward, up, down, swivel if you really want it to. Lots and lots of mobility in those areas. And then you have articulation in the midsection of the Wendiceratops, as well as the hip region, which is really, really smooth. You also have articulation in the knee, which is a little stiff right now, but it definitely works quite nicely. I gotta hit that one with some hot water or a hair dryer to soften it up. And then when we get to the ankle, you have two different areas of articulation, allowing some really nice, actually, let me grab the leg here, some really nice articulation for your ceratopsian, giving you just pretty much endless possibilities as far as the poses you can pull off with this figure. And then you also have the articulation of the tail, which can move up, down, left, right, all over the place, even swivel if you would like. So articulation to the max as far as every one of the beasts of the Mesozoic figures go. As far as a size for our Wendiceratops, it's definitely a really nicely sized figure. So for a length, you're looking at about the, oh, if I can keep it still, about 12¼ inches, so a little over a foot, or about 32 centimeters in length. And then for a height, it is at about the just shy of 5 inches, just a little bit under 5 inches, or about the 12.5 centimeter range. For a size comparison, here is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line, next to our Beast of the Mesozoic Wendiceratops, who happens to have like a broken ankle going on there. But now it looks a little bit better. But you could definitely see in comparison to these figures that, again, it does sport a really nice size overall. Probably the second largest so far of Wave 2. Actually, that may not be true. Second largest of the most recent figures that I've reviewed from Wave 2, although it does have the potential to be the second largest of the ones that I've reviewed, period, from Wave 2. And then for a second size comparison, here is the Pachyrhinosaurus and Aviceratops next to our Wendiceratops, and you can definitely see that from the Aviceratops up to the Pachyrhinosaurus, we are going from small to large here, but the Wendiceratops obviously is right in the middle. The Pachyrhinosaurus, though, does really quite dwarf it overall, but I think the Centrosaurus will be very strong competition for that Pachyrhinosaurus. But as of right now, again, that Wendiceratops is leading the charge as far as the mid-sized figure goes. So this Creative Beast Studio, Beasts of the Mesozoic Wave 2 Ceratopsian series Wendiceratops is a gorgeous looking figure, and again, it's really exciting to finally have a Wendiceratops in my collection, because that is one species of Ceratopsian that I don't know that anybody else, like figure-wise, has really created. I can't recall one, so it is nice to see one finally get released from somebody, and I am really happy that that somebody was the Beast of the Mesozoic line and Creative Beast Studio, because they usually give us just like the definitive version almost of each of the Ceratopsians that we've gotten so far. They really are like fantastic, over-the-top, beautiful figures, and this Wendiceratops is definitely a great interpretation of said species. This is another one of those figures, however, that gives you that brighter, flashier paint scheme, and some people like that, some people don't. Some people are like me, where you kind of like the darker paint schemes. However, again, like I had said earlier in the review, that the Beasts of the Mesozoic line have really been changing my mind overall on what looks natural and realistic on a Ceratopsian, because they have really provided us some beautiful, really bright color schemes and flashy color schemes on a lot of the figures in this line. And in my opinion, I have yet to see one that doesn't in hand look natural and look like it's the coloration of that animal. And this is yet another great example of that, because again, the color scheme of this one is really flashy and really looks great on the figure. Definitely looks like it is the color of the Wendiceratops, which I absolutely love. The sculpt is incredibly beautiful. Again, very highly detailed is putting it mildly when you're talking about a Beast of the Mesozoic figure. So you know you are getting an incredibly highly detailed sculpt in any species, no matter what dinosaur you buy from them. You're getting a figure sculpted to the max, and that is exactly what you find with this Wendiceratops. Just gorgeous, very vibrant detailing throughout the entire figure. The paint job as well, again, really complements the sculpt, and that's something that you always see with these figures, where the paint job complements the sculpt and the sculpt complements the paint job. They just kind of combine both in such a beautiful and picture-perfect way that they really utilize every aspect of the sculpt in painting the figures, and they both play off of each other so well, and it just really makes the entire figure just look incredibly realistic and lifelike because of the picture-perfect paintwork that is continuously on these figures. As always, utilizing washes and dry brushing to perfection and making the figures just look incredibly nice and lifelike. And then, of course, you have some awesome articulation, which allows for, again, endless possibilities as far as displaying your figure and coming up with all of the really cool positions and poses that you would like with your Ceratopsian. Pretty much the sky is the limit as far as posing your Ceratopsian series figures, which is probably the coolest aspect of these figures overall. So if you are interested in this, and it's yet another high recommendation from me, make sure you check the link in the description, as I will have a link right there to the Beasts of the Mesozoic website, Creative Beast Studios website, where you can purchase this figure for yourself. So make sure you check the link in the description, go buy this gorgeous Wendiceratops, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.